we're trying to represent our species, our country for space exploration. You don't want, otherwise we just have a platoon, like a corps of soldiers and operators. But we want people who have that dynamic leadership, who understand human emotion, who can speak to a classroom of fifth graders, third graders, kindergartners, and share that passion of reading or space exploration and why it's important to study the sciences, or at the same time talk to a group of engineers and explain to them, hey, respectfully, why you need a window in your vehicle because to land appropriately, or explaining to management why you need to do these certain training activities even though they're really expensive or there may be risk involved. Like, we need to maintain our currency in jets because it's an operational environment where we have to make real-time decisions that have real risks so that we can stay sharp and learn to exercise that operational decision-making during stressful times. So you need someone who can fill all these roles in and push when the going gets tough. And the Corps tries to use various tests to make sure we're selecting for the right people that can do all those things.
So once you get selected, and then it's time to start the training. And give us like an overview of the training. What's the pipeline start off with? What's like the hardest parts, and then where does it feel like you kind of level off and you're feeling good about it?
You know, every day is different. It's I explain it like being in grad school with just a more physical component to it. I mean, there's certain checks in the boxes you need to do. Like, you need to get to a certain proficiency in speaking Russian and learning to fly the jet. If you're a pilot, flying front seat, I'm not a formal military pilot, so I had to learn how to be to be an appropriate crew member, an effective crew member, serving with a pilot and learning to fly the jet appropriately and work together to complete that mission. You're learning engineering about the suit, the space suit you're in, or the International Space Station, learning all the different components, the heating, the cooling, the electrical components, how it recycles water, how it recycles urine. Then learning how to operate in the spacesuit. We have this huge pool that has a 1-to-1 scale of the space station in Houston. And learning, because we don't have a way to emulate zero gravity on Earth, obviously. But we have buoyancy, and we can make neutral buoyancy to emulate what it's like to be in a zero or microgravity environment and how it feels to work in a pressurized suit, to move along and replace batteries and work drills on the space station. And you learn geology. We go on trips to learn about various aspects of rock formations, how they form, why they form, what's important, because this is all relevant. If we go to Mars, we go to the moon, we may not be able to bring the subject matter experts. We don't need to be the subject matter experts, but we need to know and understand. We need to have a foundation so that we can go out, make effective use of the time we have to get the rocks that subject matter experts at home do think is useful, so that we can learn more about the moon, about the Mars, and bring that knowledge back to Earth to benefit humanity. So every day is different.
Does everybody on the team, do you get assigned to like a platoon or a team, or are you assigned to a certain group of people that you're going to go on a mission together?
Eventually you do in your career. When you first show up, you're what's called an ASCAN, astronaut candidate.
Oh, okay.
So you go through and you almost do everything together.
Did you graduate already from ASCAN school?
I did, yeah.
And that was the big graduation that took place in
January.
Yes. So once when you're going through that school, is that the initial, like, okay, you're learning Russian. Okay, now you're learning about the spacesuit. Okay, now you're working in a weightless environment.
Yep, you're learning. It's kind of like SQT. You're learning the basics of what it's like to be an effective astronaut. But that training never goes away. Just like being a SEAL, you don't stop shooting just because you made it through SQT.
Right.
It's just the beginning of your learning, of your professional development, and you're maintaining all of that. So you continue all of those activities. maintain speaking your Russian, practicing in the spacesuit, flying in a jet, weekly, and then supporting ongoing missions. So if you're not assigned, which I am not assigned, there's a pool of astronauts that are always supporting ongoing missions, because that's the priority, is supporting ongoing missions. And right now, we have astronauts that have manned the International Space Station for 20 years continuously. There are people, adults, where we have been orbiting a manned presence in the space station longer than people have been alive. And we are looking to go back to the moon in 2024 with our eyes set for deeper exploration to Mars and beyond. But it starts off with getting back to the moon and setting and deploying a sustained presence. So our jobs right now, if you're not assigned, is to support those ongoing missions in various capacities. And later down the road, if you are assigned, then you are, depending on the mission, you are working more closely with the other people assigned to that mission. And that might be like a workup. Like you find out you're assigned to a mission maybe a year or 2 years before, and you're working closely with that crew. Instead of a platoon, it's a crew. And then you go on a mission. And now typically missions are kind of like deployments. They're about 6-7 months. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter.
And an example of a mission would be going to the space station?
Yes. That is, right now, that is the only mission that we have is supporting our space station.
Until 2023, and then they're going to assign someone that's going to go to the moon, or a team, a crew.
Absolutely. We're under a program that we have called Artemis. We will send the first woman and the next man back to the moon and have our sights set with boots on the ground on the moon by 2024. And that hasn't been assigned yet.
And you said sustained presence on the moon.
Sustained. While getting to the moon by 2024 at this current time we are not planning on having sustained presence in 2024. By 2028, we are planning on having a sustained presence on the moon. So having a lunar outpost and learning what it's like to live on a planetary moon. Learning what it's like having challenges and struggles, because the space station is 250 miles away. It's a 4-hour trip. If something bad happens on the space station, it's reassuring knowing that there is a vehicle, a Soyuz vehicle, which is a Russian vehicle, waiting there to take our crew members back to Earth if needed. The moon is longer. It's 4-ish days to get back. Mars, that's even longer. We're talking about months. So it's prudent that we learn as much as we can about what it's like to live on a different planetary body like the moon before we try and get to Mars. And that's what having a sustained presence on the moon is all about.
When do you think you'll get assigned to a crew? Is it even knowable?
No.
And it doesn't really even matter because you're just going to keep doing your job.
Exactly. It's irrelevant. I still have and hope that I will continue to have this attitude where I'm just happy to be where I am. I have an immense opportunity that so many deserving people don't have to work at NASA, to be in the astronaut corps, that if I never flew, it would still be an honor to serve. And who knows, something medical can come up, an injury can come up where I may be ineligible for space flight. It's not time wasted. That's not. I would still feel very privileged, and it'd be a huge honor to support ongoing missions. So, to me, I don't know when I'll be assigned, and I don't care. I will be happy with whatever I have the honor of doing, and I will fulfill any role to the best of my ability.
Future is bright. Yes, sir. Well, listen, Johnny, we've actually been going at it for a little over 4 hours right now.
Wow.
I know. We went through your whole life, which is not bad in 4 hours. What I know people are going to want to contact you, talk to you, get in touch with you. I know that you're on social media now, big time.
unfortunately. I say my words carefully, but
well, it's pretty awesome that in this day and age, people can connect with you. And, I was very reluctant to start the social media thing. It was actually, quite frankly, mostly Jenna Lee, Leif's wife, who was like, hey, idiot, you need to get on social media so you can connect with people. And sure enough, I can't even begin to tell you the amount of incredible conversations, feedback, suggestions, information, questions that has come through social media. So even though I know you're probably not super comfortable with it, I bet you'll find that, man, it's a great way to communicate with other people, to share things with other people, to share daily life, to explain things to people, to help people out. I mean, I think you're gonna end up using it for a positive tool, which it can be negative all day long, and you can sit on there and you can find people that just wanna just belittle other people and make fun of things and tear the world down. It's actually not that hard to avoid those people, and it's really easy to find people that are looking to learn, share, grow, help. The social media is filled with that stuff as well.
Well said. I had zero internet presence, and I have intentionally not have had any social media accounts before NASA, and even for the first year and a half at being in NASA, just because I have such a visceral feeling with social media. Not because I'm not trying to blame the platform, because I think we all as humans should take accountability for our actions and how we use our tools. But narcissism is perhaps one of the biggest poisons in our society. And narcissism breeds narcissism. And a lot of times the way I've seen social media used as a platform to promote that. And when children see that self-promotion, that self-idolization, they then want to be YouTube stars. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think people should pursue their dreams, but I think it requires some self-reflection and thoughtfulness as a society of what we value. And when you have narcissism as a valued trait, you are by definition putting yourself above others. And I think that is not sustainable for a growing and evolving society. And that's why I find service very sustainable. Because by definition, you are putting others before yourself. One of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Martin Luther King. And it's something along the lines of, everyone is capable of greatness, not fame, but greatness, because greatness is determined by service. And I think sometimes people think the definition of success is that everyone in the world knows their name. And I think they're missing the point when that is the goal they're trying to seek. And I sometimes see social media used in that, but I agree with you that when used responsibly, respectfully, tactfully, thoughtfully, it can be a platform for good. And what made me change my mind about actually having a social media, and I'm not very active, I try to make a post a week. A buddy of mine from the team said, look, you have an opportunity that most people in this world will never have. And people just want to share in some of what you do and learn about it. And if you are using it responsibly, not for self-promotion, but to promote others and to share some of the cool science and inspire kids, adults, then you owe it to do that. And that was said to me still about a year before I opened up a platform, but it always stuck with me. And I guess that's why I have been more okay with having that, because I feel that it can be a force for good when used responsibly.
Well, with the longest social media preamble ever, Johnny Kim.